Hello, fellow humans. Since when ASAP means right now instead of what actually is, as soon as possible. In fact, as soon as possible could be in 6 months, because that is when it is possible and not sooner. What is this all urgency for? Get the report done by the end of the day, increase sales by 50% by the end of the month, reply to your boss within 5 minutes. Let's flip ASAP on its head and see what kind of an economy we would have. If a good life is about having your needs satisfied, your soul enchanted, and your mind expanded to its full potential, then it means when we reach that point, we could enjoy a moment of equilibrium because there's no intrinsic motive to continue beyond that point. This is not about stagnation or disappearance of progress. This is about exchanging quantity of experience with quality of experience. The Hungarian psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi developed a theory of optimal experience based on the concept of flow, which is the state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. The experience itself is so enjoyable that people will do it even at a great cost for the sheer sake of doing it. The good kind of slow is when we achieve something without spending too much energy or resources. This kind of slowness allows us to enter a state of mental flow when we may lose track of time and when we may feel we progress much faster than in moments when we are not involved. This slowness disconnects us from the stimulants in life that do not add quality to our experience, ranging from doom scrolling, watching advertising, mindless shopping, hoarding things, blabbering for attention, chasing fame, worshipping celebrities, being a sycophant, and so many embarrassing human behaviors. Being as slow as possible may appear as being lazy or unproductive from the perspective of capitalist efficiency, because capitalism has devised a scheme that we must produce and consume as much as humanly possible during our lifetime to give full meaning to life. Capitalism is selling us a fake version of immortality, which says that if we lose ourselves in this fast game of wealth and buying, we would leave a lasting mark on history. The bad kind of slow is when we focus too much on ourselves and ignore the needs of others. Being lazy is not bad in itself if you are not hurting anybody else. Life is not something that needs to be earned through work, as capitalism is trying to brainwash us. But when our actions and inactions cause suffering for others, then we might have to pick up the speed of helping and caring. This is why slowness also should have a limit of too slow. Living in these times of hyper-consumerism and ruthless accumulation of wealth feels very rough. When you go to a job interview, the question of values does not even come up in the context of the conversation. A lot of assumptions are being made, both on the side of the employer and the candidate. Your work for the company has to be profitable. You are capable of doing that work. You must obey the commands of your superiors. You must not criticize the culture of the company and its management. You must, or else. You can fake choose to play this game at any other employer. That's your choice. This is not soft. This is a very rough and brutal organization of the economy and of society. This sort of undemocratic and one-sided distribution of power comes from the drive of capitalism to return profit as fast as possible, as if shareholders are trying to cheat death by achieving wealth and status as fast as possible. Enter the care economy. Human prosperity, properly considered, is primarily about health rather than wealth. In consequence, The economy should concern itself first and foremost with care in all its forms, rather than relentless growth, as it does at the moment. Delivering and receiving care carries a wholesome attitude towards other humans and towards life itself. Care is a core value that has evolved within humans as a mechanism of adaptability, thus making our species the only one capable of showing altruism and empathy at the cost of our own peril. This is an incredible realization that puts enormous responsibility on humans as the preservers of life on this planet. Life in good health, with access to mental flow and meaningful experiences, is a life worth living in spite of having an inevitable end. Health, flow, and meaning cannot be rushed. They have an internal clock, a natural pace that requires natural touch, which is a soft touch. Vijay Kolinjivari and Aaron Bensingen write, take for example Arshi Ayub Zaveri, CEO of the Dubai-based company Oxygenate, who claims that anything the human eye can see can be made from bamboo. Of course he would say that. Oxygenate's business model is to sell genetically enhanced bamboo for carbon sequestration. We were confused about what genetically enhanced meant, so we did some research and found out that it just means conventionally crossbred. People like this will spend their days spouting empty sales pitches, rebranded as revolutionary, world-changing green entrepreneurship. Sustainability is not about status, feeling virtuous, or lying for profit as the CEO of Oxygenate. He's not the only one. There are millions like him. Sustainable literally means capable of being maintained or continued at a certain rate or level. We already know human civilization is producing and consuming beyond the capacity of Earth to maintain life. So everyone engaging in fake sustainability, including those who consume fake green products, are in fact contradicting and denying the definition of sustainable. This is an incredible dishonest behavior. Begging the question, what should we do? We arrive at the simple answer, which is be as sustainable as possible, but don't lie about it. If we do not know what sustainable means in practice, we can find out. There is new, overwhelming data that tells us what that is, with numbers. While lying about sustainability is so pervasive, there is also a misguided approach to slowness itself. One of the advocates for the slow movement, Carl Honoré, writes in his bestseller book, In Praise of Slow, nor is the slow movement an enemy to capitalism. On the contrary, it offers it a lifeline. In its current form, global capitalism forces us to manufacture faster, work faster, consume faster, live faster, no matter what the cost. By treating people and the environment as valuable assets rather than as disposable inputs, a slow alternative could make the economy work for us, rather than vice versa. Making capitalism compatible with slowness is as realist as pigs flying. From the perspective of consumers, slow tourism and slow food, for example, are great things, but do you think a slow restaurant can survive long enough if it does not make a profit? There's always a catch with being slow in capitalism, which forces us to develop behaviors that are often contrary to our nature. Kevin Simler and Robin Hanson write in The Elephant in the Brain, Hidden Motives in Everyday Life, wear a mask long enough and it becomes your face. Play a role long enough and it becomes who you are. Spend enough time pretending something is true and you might as well believe it. Self-deception is therefore strategic, a ploy our brains use to look good while behaving badly. Sincerity is being true to your motives and declaring your true motives, not those that you fabricated to delude yourself and others. You are a worthy player in this economic game of supremacy. There's an entire field of research called the steady-state economy that looks at how we can live a good life with an economy that does not rush to grow in perpetuity. At its simplest, a steady-state economy is an economy that aims to maintain a stable level of resource consumption and a stable population. Material and energy use are kept within ecological limits. The goal of increasing GDP is replaced by the goal of improving quality of life. But to get there, we must go through a phase of degrowth first, because our economy and lifestyles, on average, have expanded already too much and too fast. The World Watch Institute estimates that the planet could accommodate roughly 13.6 billion people living low-income lifestyles versus 2.1 billion people living high-income lifestyles. It's interesting to note that incomes in the high-income scenario are still about $10,000 less per year than the average income in the United States from 20 years ago. Rich countries have to slow down much more than the poor countries, so all of us find ourselves in the middle, in balance with nature. This is what I would call an economy for life. In the economy for life, all humans live in the green space for decent, equitable, just living. Nobody should fall under the lower limit of sufficiency, and nobody should cross the maximum limit of well-being. This is being as steady as possible, while allowing space for exploring diversity of experience and freedoms. Completely redesigning our economic system away from infinite growth, infinite wealth accumulation is an incredibly difficult task, but it is as necessary as it is difficult. I would start by putting a maximum limit on wealth everywhere at roughly $5 million and immediately eradicate poverty. Why is pausing and reflection so important for enjoying life? Remember about flow, that state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. When you are in flow, the world outside yourself may appear to slow down for you, while the intensity of your inner experience accelerates. From the outside, you may also appear slowed down, as in meditation. Making or consuming food can put you in a state of flow. The same with practicing your hobbies and expressing creativity. The economy for life is a system that allows this kind of space and pause, while provisioning for basic needs and being really careful about keeping wants and desires in check within the limits of real sustainability. So let us slow down if we do not want to perish. I would like to thank the people who support me on Patreon. Your continued support supplies me with energy to keep this work going. Independent media and independent creators can break the power of mainstream media. It is happening and it is possible. Please spread the word and increase the peace. Milan Kundera wrote in his novel Slowness, "There's a secret bond between slowness and memory, between speed and forgetting." Consider this utterly commonplace situation. A man is walking down the street. At a certain moment, he tries to recall something, but the recollection escapes him. Automatically, he slows down. Meanwhile, a person who wants to forget a disagreeable incident he has just lived through starts unconsciously to speed up his pace, as if he were trying to distance himself from a thing still too close to him in time. In existential mathematics, that experience takes the form of two basic equations. The degree of slowness is directly proportional to the intensity of memory. The degree of speed is directly proportional to the intensity of forgetting. This system would properly replace capitalism. Let us call it the economy for life. economic growth cannot remain the core objective.